Hello, welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe. That is Stephen Howson. And Steve, for the first time since we met, Manchester United have won at Anfield. It feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? How do you feel?
When did you start? 2019?
2019. I mean, it was 3 years before that we'd last beat them. So me and you have never seen this. We've never spoken about us winning at Anfield on any video.
I wasn't expecting that. It's a long time, Joe.
It's a long time. That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really mad. That's such a long time.
I know. I just thought of it as we were about to start recording. I just thought, we've never done this. This has never happened since we met. That's crazy.
We've
that
been
is a
quite
pretty big
shit.
thing. Yeah. It's really hard to do what United have just done, clearly. Because at times, we finished above Liverpool in that time as well, more than once. So it's not just the case of they're so much better than us. You know, we finished second a couple of times in there, or second and third a couple of times. Like, we'll get into the details, obviously, but just the wider point, first of all, how big a win is that?
On one hand, you've just gone to the home of the champions. They have lost at home already this season, right?
No. Those three losses were all away.
Okay, well, that's better than I thought.
Yep.
They've got a spooky good home record. Spooky good. You have to take into account something of the run that they're on. But at the same time, like we were saying earlier in the week, this isn't a good time to play them. Because, I know you're saying it's gambler's fallacy and that, and you're right. But they're too good to just lose every game. They are. Yep. They're far too good to just lose every game. And it was close. And if we'd have lost that game 2-1, drawn that game, or won that game 2-1, all of those scorelines probably would have been fair, right? I don't think anyone's like, that's an absolute robbery either way. I think, it was a very close game. That could have gone either way. And I think that's the most honest you could be about that. It's mad that it's taken us so long. It is, really, because we've been, like you said, we've finished above them in that time. They haven't been perfect in that time. It's just nice to do it, isn't it?
Massively. It just, with Amorim as well, with this whole 2 in a row thing, which is so ridiculous when you think about 2 games in a row, is like, even for, teams that aren't great, that isn't particularly difficult. But it's been a big thing that's built and built and built. And of all the places to do it, that's the 100% the most difficult and the one that gets you the most points. Just in obviously, amongst fans and journalists, etc. Just in terms of the way that they set up. Because obviously, when you get a goal after the second minute, that changes both teams' sort of game plans quite substantially. All of a sudden, you can play in a way that you couldn't have, had that goal not gone in. How do you think United handled basically starting the game a goal up? Because whilst on the one hand, it's great, and I'd want to start every game a goal up if we could, it meant that United's impetus and need to push and to try and get a second was a lot was minimised drastically, wasn't it? Do you think that it made us sit back more, or do you think we would have played like that regardless of what the scoreline was?
I know there was no real input to tell us how we would have played prior to the goal, but yeah. I don't really think we changed anything from the goal. I think we played with the intention of trying to be compact, trying to play off the back foot, and then when we get the opportunity, we'll get forward and we'll try and attack. I thought we were way more likely to get that second goal earlier in the game way earlier in the game than it came. And when we actually got the second goal, I genuinely didn't expect us to have it in us to re-up after conceding. I was chatting with Rio amongst about half a dozen other people at half time, and I said I personally think the way this is going to play out now is that we'll get another, because I thought we finished the half relatively strong. I thought we'll get one early in the second half, and then it will be like the bastard Alamo, and they will throw the kitchen sink at it. They'll get one, and we will hold on. But obviously the way the goals came was different to how I saw it, but the result and the scoreline was. I don't know, either would have been pretty satisfying, but to get it in the manner that we did. Actually, if we'd have scored in the first and second minute and it held on, it didn't matter. I'm fucking happy that we got the win.
Yeah. Just on a couple of bits about that. So obviously, doing it the way we did it, United had to go again after having an absolute gut punch to equalise it. Obviously, that they had, like you said, a load of chances. For them to have got a goal wasn't out of the question at all. It wasn't as though Liverpool sucker punched us by any means. We sat back and eventually they found a way through. But to go again and to push back and instead of losing that game, go and win it, does that seem like things are changing a little bit? Is that an evolution of the mindset at United? Because it's felt as though my worry before they'd even got a goal was they're going to get one, and when they do, I don't see how we stop them getting a second. For it to go the other way, does that tell you anything, or do you think games can be won and lost any which way? Or, I feel as though that maybe meant something a little bit.
Too early to say. I think it probably tells us more about Liverpool than United at the moment.
Okay.
I think they're fragile.
Ew.
I think they're not as impervious as they perhaps once was. I genuinely, I'm more surprised at the fact that they had nearly £300 million of brand new signings and thought that the arrogance of them to not even bring them on against United was a joke, to be honest with you.
Steve, they brought them all on. They all played.
No, they didn't.
They did. They had 400 million pounds worth of players on.
Well, how can that be? Because Benjamin Sesko is the worst signing in the Premier League this summer, and they're all flawless. So how can that be, Joe? You're talking shit again. It's like when you went fucking parsnip picking yesterday.
That is a very good point. About Sesko then, because I thought he looked good when he came on. He didn't start the game. That was a big thing that a lot of, you knew transfer that, a lot of people are doubting or whatever, has scored a goal in back-to-back games. You start him in this game. 3 in a row, that's exactly what everyone wants. Matheus Cunha instead starts in place of him, and you could argue that is the sort of career beginning game for Matheus Cunha. I thought he was fantastic, and just the way he held the ball toward the end of the game, I think he helped us win that absolutely massively, even without a goal and assist. Do you agree?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game from him. There was a couple of real nice flashes, switches of play. I thought it was a very intelligent performance from him, epitomised with the cramp that he got late on in the game, which I'm going to be honest, I don't fucking believe for a second. But I'm so here for it because we haven't had people that have that level of game management, game intelligence on the field since Ander Herrera. We far too often are too straight and narrow, straight down the line, do everything as you're meant to, and sometimes you got to have the dark arts to win a match. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good game from him. I thought he was in a bit of a weird position because he was kind of very much being asked to be like the striker at times, and sometimes being asked to be the midfielder. There was at times when he looked a little bit confused, but I thought he just got on with it. Like you could almost see like he was a little bit unsure at times where he needed to be. And sometimes we looked like it was a 2-3, sometimes it looked like it was a 3-2. Obviously it was a back five, but then in front of it, like it looked like it was relatively fluid depending on what was going on. And sometimes like him and Mbeumo would press, and then it'd be 20-30 meters before the next line. So they looked a little bit lost and isolated when they were doing that. I think it was by design though. I think we'd almost allowed certain balls into our back line because you had De Ligt, because you had Maguire, very strong in the air. And when you're forcing teams to maybe pump it a little bit more direct, you can kind of rely on that a little bit. And I thought that was good.
Just obviously, we could go through all 11 players or all 15 players, however many came on in the end, and mostly they had good games. Maybe Dalot wasn't particularly very good. But just looking at the sort of wider picture a little bit, United are 3 points behind second in the league. I think we're 2 off Liverpool now. We've won 4 of our last 6 games. Like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that losing to Grimsby was great and we were excellent against Brentford and all that. But is this season sort of slowly becoming something that isn't the absolute eyesore hellscape that it has been under Ruben Amorim? Especially that, I think there's a point where we won 4 of his first 21 in the league, I think it was. We've now won 4 of the last 6. Are you seeing improvements?
I think you're forcing it.
Okay.
I think it's a nice milestone to have got the back-to-back wins, and it's an excellent and very satisfying one to get it away to Liverpool at Anfield. But now it is a very much a wait and see, because this all means fuck all if we lose next week. It's still win one, lose one, even if the order is the same or different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I want to see now is, let's do the impossible. Let's win 3 on a bounce. We spoke the other day, didn't we, when we said, at what point does he start to feel safe? And I think I said win 6 or 7 of the next 10. So that was pre-Sunderland, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So win 5 of the next 8.
Yeah.
Or 4 of the next, 8. And let's see where we're at. Because that will feel different. Like, I just mentioned it on mine there, but so not to cover too much old ground, but I thought the par for that 4-game Liverpool and the next 3, I thought that was, so Liverpool, Brighton, Forest and Spurs. I thought the par for that 4 games needed to be 6 points. I think 4 points in those 4 games it's not enough.
Yeah.
3 or 1 or none or 2, not enough. 6 and you kind of go, okay. 7 would feel quite good, wouldn't it? Doesn't matter who or where they come, but like only losing 1 of that 4 would feel like a little bit of momentum. Now, if you manage to not lose any of those and win at least 2 of them, now you're talking like 8 points, at least sort of territory. What if you got 3 wins? 3 wins and a draw in that 4. Well, now it's only 2 wins and a draw out of 3 that you could be looking at to do that against winnable games. Brighton are tricky. They're not fucking unbeatable, though, are they, at home? Nottingham Forest is who the fuck knows on any given day. I think Spurs represents a relatively tough task, but beyond us, no. Especially if we can have our forwards start producing the goods that they have been doing. I think defensively we've got the right stuff. I also think that what's different in the last 2 games that we've not had all season is got a fucking goalkeeper that actually knows what the fucking goalkeeper's meant to fucking do. Because that useless prick cost us so many fucking points at the early part of the season.
Yeah.
Viva fucking Laments. Laments is immense.
It's mad, isn't it, that it's just gone from... I mean, we're so desperate for just a keeper that doesn't make terrible mistakes. And he's been good, Lamens, and he's not had loads of really difficult things to do and failed to do it, but he's just handled everything he's had to do spot on. He's not been asked to...
He had a big game today. He had a lot of chances saved today. A lot of chances. Bayern Deer throws 3 or 4 of them in.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing, just a competent goalkeeper. And obviously, down the line, we might have to see what his ball-playing ability is like, how good he is at, trying to keep it short and do that sort of stuff. Because I think we went long pretty much every single time he had it today. But if you win the game from that, and when you're asked to do stuff at the other end, that's a phenomenal starting point, especially when you consider what we've had for the last sort of 6 months or even longer, really. Just lastly then, obviously, Amrim himself... like you said, isn't going to keep his job or lose it based on today, although it's obviously a lot better to win than not. But if you were him, would you be thinking, that's done a lot for me today? How do you think he feels after that game?
I think he sleeps better than he has done in a fucking minute tonight. Yeah. I think he has himself a rum and coke. I think he watches Match of the Day too. And I think he fucking actually has a nice Sunday night. And I think he's fucking earned it. The guy's aged about 15 years in the last 12 months. And, they've not won a back-to-back Premier League game. We have actually won back-to-back games, haven't we, in that time? It was just one was in the Europa League whilst one was in the fucking league. So that's a twist in on reality a little bit, that, because there was times that we absolutely could have won Premier League games and we clearly fucking phoned them in because we were focusing on Europa League. But the stat was accurate that we hadn't won back-to-back Premier League games. Now all we've got is fucking Premier League games. Let's actually start putting a bit of a fucking run together, because I tell you what, if he follows it up next week at Brentford, where actually we maybe see a little bit more control, where actually we managed to get the 3 points again, and people start to go, that was pretty good, that, actually. Then I think it starts to feel like we've turned a corner. You can get a smash and grab without playing well. Doesn't actually tell you how you're going to do the following week. But if you start to see good performances and results, that starts to inform. Because I'll tell you this: if you beat Brighton, I think you beat Forest, and you go from having no back-to-back games to 4 on the bounce, and I think that would feel like a lot of confidence. And that alone, the quiet around Carrington at the time. No articles today, lads. Yeah, fucking thought not. That might be enough to go to Tottenham and get a win there. And you suddenly go from you've not won a single back-to-back game to hitting 5 on a spin. And I think 5 on a spin puts us inside the top 4. And I think everyone can suck a fat dick when that happens.
Very exciting. It's nice to see you being so optimistic, Steve. And also, not just, things being sucked, but people can get haircuts. We're all shaving our heads at that point, I think. I think that's the rule. Every United fan
there you
has
go.
to shave their head.
Fucking get it booked, lad. Get it booked. Tottenham.
Fucking hell, right. Thank you very much, Steve. What a night. Man United winning at Anfield for the first time in 9 years and 10 months. Thank you very much for joining us at home. We'll see you in a bit.